people who disregard history tend to always make the same mistakes, which is exactly part of the issues we're having now. It's very evident in the way we've prepared for the current elections, because we always seem to move on from past events. We never seem to do like an assist review. We never seem to take a retroactive approach in defining policies and then in trying to move our nation forward. So very interesting book. I would recommend it to anybody who wants to understand about Nigeria better.
What would be your maybe top three things that jumped at you while you were reading this book?
Okay, first is that leaders don't listen. I mean,
leaders don't listen, or our leaders don't listen.
Now, leaders all over the world. One of the things this book clearly talks about was the man's continuing attempt to let the United States government be aware of what is happening in Nigeria, and seems as if nobody was listening to him. True. I mean, so when people say leaders are disconnected from people, we feel it's an African or Nigerian problem. It's everywhere. There's this sense of invisibility that comes upon leaders that makes them feel that we know what is happening, and the guy on the ground is not listened to. That comes to me very clear. Secondly, what also comes very clearly is what is said in a particular place that Nigerian elites. And for me, that looks like there's a one sentence I'm going to take out from the book. It says Nigerian elites like to push Nigeria to a brink, but believe that Nigeria will not fall. Yes. And that the Nigerian elites always say Nigeria is too big to fail. So we push ourselves to almost a cliff-like situation, and we say no, nothing will happen. You know, that to me looks very, very, very... And then the third part about how, for example, you get that reinforcement of Nigerians' willingness to talk to foreigners what they will not tell themselves. I mean, the book really confirmed many of the things that WikiLeaks said, for example. I mean, the man said Nigerians love to talk to foreigners. So many of the things you consider state secrets or you consider people shouldn't know, and the Nigerian government official will tell you, no, I'm not going to tell people about it. A white man shows up and he tells him everything. The man clearly wrote it there that Nigerians love to do that, which is not an attempt for him to violate principles of diversity. The question is, why would we choose not to tell ourselves stuff and just choose to tell somebody else because it doesn't have the same skin as we do?
For me, the first part of it has to do with when he talked about, in chapter 7, when he talked about the election-like event of 2007.
That's a very explosive chapter.
Yes, he talked about the event at the Waldorf Astoria Hotel in New York, where Obasanjo was presented to the international community, and someone read a citation on his behalf. As part of his footnote, he clearly said, as the U.S. ambassador to Nigeria, he wasn't aware that President Bush had written that kind of endorsement for that particular occasion. Now, what stood out for me is the fact that as a people, and as people either in government or out of government, as political parties, we like seeking endorsements. We like throwing names, people's countries, which is something we've seen with the current political events. That's the first thing that stood out for me. The second part of it has to do with the astuteness of the civil society in Nigeria. Insofar as we like to talk down on civil society groups, the example where Madeleine Albright was part of the U.S. team that came...
FDI or RDI or something?
Yes, who were part of election monitors in 2007, and then her relationship with the wider civil society group in Nigeria. The fact that that election wasn't credible was put out there by the civil society. And the last part about it for me is the way we play our party politics, how candidates emerge, and how we choose people. So it's almost as if whoever sits in power, either at the presidential level, and it trickles down all the way down to governors, to local government chairmen. It's more of a clear case of imposition, you know, and he clearly pointed that out with how Yar'Adua was made the PDP presidential candidate in 2007. So a learning experience for us is, as we move forward, we need to get into a more democratic space where we begin to get these things right from even primary elections.
Chapter 7, he completely condemned the 1999 election, 2003 election, 2007 election. We are heading into an election period now. Has anything changed?
Absolutely, yes. I would think so. If you look back at the elections which we have conducted in Nigeria from 99 till date, we have progressively, in my view, improved on the past elections. The 2003 and 2007 elections, for all intents and purposes, were a total sham. People were basically handpicked. It was used as political patronage and favor to friends and acolytes. But if you go back to 2011, despite the fact of the allegations around rigging, which are very likely, there are issues around people still going on with that practice. But the general acceptability of that election is not in doubt, which means we seem to have improved between 2007 and 2011. And now if you look at 2015, which the electoral umpire INEC has done, is they've tried to further improve and sanitize that process. Obviously, there's some kickbacks coming from politicians who it favors, from those who it doesn't favor. They're trying to say, oh no, we shouldn't go with this part. But progressively, we've seen, as democracy matures, progressively we've seen INEC try to ensure that this entire process is sanitized. So in my view, I would think we're moving in the right direction. But yes, we still need to do a whole lot more to improve the electoral process.
Gentlemen, thank you for joining us on the Channels Book Club and for reviewing this book with us. It's been nice having you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.